Good morning. This is Rick Gleason, and I'm with our co-host Don King, and we're here for the heartbeat of health and safety. We have a special guest today, so I'm going to let Don introduce Bill to you and how we're going to ask him some questions today. So, Don, can you introduce our guest?
I sure can. Our guest today is owner and president of SteelKorr, Bill Schlesser, and we're happy to have him here today. They are in the iron business, and as we all know, over the years, the iron workers have had their challenges. They're usually first in, and until iron gets up, nothing happens. So they're under a lot of pressure, and they're asked to do things that most people would never do in a lifetime. And so it creates a little bit of a dichotomy when they're trying to work and stay safe and do it slow and be careful. However, get it done, and we need 100 pieces in the air today. So with that, I would like to start our conversation off with having Bill maybe tell us a little bit about how he got in the business and how long he's been doing it and that type of thing.
Yeah, I've been a union iron worker going on close to, since like about 1989. And I entered through the union apprenticeship and did a 4-year apprenticeship and started working as a journeyman. And I know all worked with a lot of raising gangs and stuff like that. And so I know what you're talking about like that in terms of safety and how back then this culture of safety wasn't as much as it is now, and how people, erectors would cut corners and stuff like that. And I even remember when they started implementing harnesses, because when I was an apprentice, they just gave you a belt with a rope on it.
Yes.
So,
right.
and then just moving up through the trade, I started working for a company at the Mariner Stadium, like in 1997, and I stayed with them until I worked my way up through being a foreman, superintendent, being a general superintendent in charge of about 70 union iron workers. And after the downturn of the economy, I just decided I wanted to do something different after the work started back up and got busy again. I wanted to go out on my own and make my own path. So that's how SteelKorr was started with my partner.
And your partner's name is?
It's Bob Pilata, and he is more of I'm more of the operation side of it in the field, and not to say I don't do estimating and stuff like that, but I do. But he's more of the on hands project management side in the office, and that's he worked for the same company that I used to work for too.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. How many employees currently?
Right now we have about 45 employees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So tell us a little bit about what you decided to do with this company that was going to be maybe a little different than what you'd seen out there in the industry.
I think the main thing is because even when I was in the capacity of being like a general superintendent of the other company, there was just all this I think contractors like in the early 2000s started turning more toward zero injuries, and I actually to get to work on this certain project, all the supervision for the company had to get an OHSA 30. It's the first time we've really been exposed to really having an OHSA 30, and that really opened up our eyes to just that course. Opened up our eyes to how important it was to have overall just have this culture of safety where everybody has to have buy-in on it, and the way the industry's was going back then, I mean, a lot has evolved and changed up to this date now, but I think once I started my company, I wanted it to be to the point where, and I've always said this to even my guys, it's if something takes like not cutting corners. If something's going to take you, you could do the task in 20 minutes, but it's going to take you 8 hours to do it the right way, to set up the safety and stuff. I'd rather you do it the right way and set up the safety. And that's kind of what my mantra has been about that. I really don't care about how much time it takes, because that's funny for an owner to say that, but
It's very unusual.
I want it to be done right, because the consequences of somebody getting hurt are more so than just the paperwork and the lower the EMR, all that, the insurance. It's not. It's about them being able to go home to their family and stuff like that.
Sure.
And not having. I don't. It's like people say, "Oh, that's an act." Like always, people always say that, like, "Oh, that's an accident," And I hate that. I don't like that. I can't say hate, but I don't use that word. I use the word. It's an incident. And there's a series of events that lead up to an incident. It's never an accident. I mean, even if a rig failure, crane failure, whatever, an equipment failure, there's still a series of things potentially that lead up to that incident. So if you can stop that, that's going to keep a lot of guys safe. And then the guys I hire, they have to buy into this. They don't. It's not. That's just what they're about too. They've all, like, compared to like 1980s, 70s, and 80s ironworkers to the way the guys are now, is like, for the most part, they've had to be a lot different, to get our market share of work and everything. Because if you're just going to be hurting people, and they'll just go use somebody else, be it carpenters or whatever. And so I think safety is a very, very important part of that. It kind of encompasses everything, with like quality control, and everything kind of falls into the same. We put it kind of under the same umbrella, because it has to do with, it kind of goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
With planning, that's mine.
That's
It's like the pre-planning for a job and stuff. It's safety. It's the pre-planning. It's the quality control measures. It's everything. It's all one umbrella.
Well, that's really good, Bill, to hear an owner talk like that, because, quite honestly, if an owner hasn't really hung iron, I think it's really hard for them to get what it is out there. I really do.
Right.
I mean, there's just something that, if you haven't seen iron coming in hot,
Right.
And experience that, it's pretty hard to say, well, yeah, I'm very safety conscious. Well,
Right.
yeah, you're conscious, but
Right.
your workers, anyway. But
Right.
what I picked up on the job site was exactly what you're talking about. This is the reason I called you, is because I kept going back to, are you guys iron workers? Or are you just saying you're something else?
Right.
Because you're not acting that way. And they were very precise, and they always stopped and said, wait a minute, let's talk about this. What are we trying to do here? Let's hold it. And I kept hearing that, and I thought, that's just not the norm.
So Dawn, can you kind of explain a little more? So you're on your construction site and you're watching
We're a
Bill's
construction
workers
site,
work.
And Bill's
Okay.
workers are out there putting together this railing down in this area. And the first thing I noticed is they've got all of their barricading up with the signage, and a sign saying do not enter. And in the huddle in the morning, they talk about, by the way, we're going to be in stair 2, we're going to close it off. Please try to find another way, because it's not going to be safe in there with what we're doing. And they've got everything set up, and they go through the process. When you come out there, he's sitting there talking to the other guy about, here's what I want to do, here's what I think we need to do. Now, what do you think about the way I've got this set up? Are you in agreement? We're going to do it this way. And I heard that conversation, and I said, this is two ironworkers talking. And I'm not slamming them. They've got a rough job, but it was different. So that's what fascinated me. And then I talked to your foreman out there, and he said, yeah, that's the way the company works. And I said, I gotta we got to talk to them because we need more of this.
Right.
We need more of it.
Right. I think it makes you, if you have all that stuff in order and in a line, it makes you being safer, but it just makes you more effective at your work. Because it's like what they basically are talking about is like having like a pre-task plan. Well, that has to do with that's everything. It's the safety, what we're doing today, just so everybody has that buy-in and that engagement about what's going on that particular day.
Mm-hmm.
Really, instead it's like nothing. It's always the conditions are changing, and to use that job as an example, or any job as an example, all the conditions are always changing. So every day having like a huddle or a pre-task to go through, not just about safety, but what they're actually the task at hand.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has that buy-in about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And don't assume one day is the same as the next.
Right.
Because it's not.
And Bill, are you seeing a lot of folks out of the union coming already with the 30-hour construction
Yes.
card? So
We are.
Oh, excellent.
We are, and the way they're doing that is through the apprenticeship. Is the new. It's like me. I'm kind of like the old breed. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of like I know I'm an owner now, but like I could go another 5 years and I could actually probably retire, but I'm going to keep working. But like guys my age are starting to retire.
Sure.
So, but there wasn't as much safety back then. There was some like kind of there was some, but nowadays all the kids are coming out with everything. The OHSA 30. They're coming out with a minimum of an OHSA 10. They all have all their cards, all their certifications for forklift training, everything. Right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's.
Do you see a change, Bill, in the way we treat the apprentices now versus the way they used to? I mean, I don't want to say they were dogs in a pen of slavery, but it was pretty rough on the apprentices, and they felt that's what they had to do to them to get them ready.
Yeah, I think everything is it's like I agree with that. I agree that I think there's more teaching involved, and that it's not such a not. I mean, like it's hard work. I mean, it's obviously it's not easy stuff to do. So, but I don't see as much screaming and yelling and stuff like when I was an apprentice.
Yeah.
And I don't do that, and none of my guys do that, and so it's treat each other with respect no matter what.
So do you have, when you get a job, say you get a big job, you have to take people from the hall. That's the way it works.
Yes.
So you can't handpick a group.
But no, but I have like I have a core group of guys that I have that working for me already, and so usually what happens is I have that, and then like whatever extra hands we need, we'll get from the hall. So
do you find that sometimes they get in and some people just don't fit in your group because they have an attitude or they have?
Oh yeah.
So how does that process work?
They usually don't last that long. I mean, you were pretty quick about seeing guys like that and stuff. So, yeah,
because it would poison the whole tank.
Right, exactly. Well, first, it's like from just the attitude. If they're having an attitude with my customers, well, that's not acceptable. But then if they have a bad attitude about safety, that's the first thing is, about just blowing that stuff off. That's the first thing. They can just go. I've done that many times. So.
Oh boy, this is great, Bill. And I just wanted to say that we're coming to you from the University of Washington, the Region 10 OHSA Training Center, and we have classes where we do the train the trainer. So companies like Bill's can teach their own workers the 10 or 30-hour class. So we've been doing that for about the last 20 years here as the OHSA Training Center at the University of Washington. And it's been great having Bill here today. Any last thoughts or comments, Don? Or as you see the whole culture kind of changing over the years, both of you, I hear from you.
Yeah, totally. I think it's positive, and I think it continues to be positive. We're always going to find those people that are drawing back to the old ways. And I often, when I meet old guys that are just full of that old school stuff, I tell them, you really should think about getting out. because it's going to get worse for you. If you're not getting this safety stuff, you're going to have a painful day every day of your life.
Mhm.
And quite honestly, that's the way it is. And
Right.
I think that more and more the beauty of this is everybody is like, we get it. That's why I have my lanyard. I
Mhm.
understand about a catenary line. I hook up. That's the way we do it.
Mhm.
Boom, you know.
Right.
But it's been a tough transition,
Right.
and we've lost a lot of really good people,
Right.
unfortunately.
I've been on jobs where people have one fatal accident, and
You never forget it.
I'll never forget it.
Right.
You know, the guy, I mean, really quickly, is the guy was on 35 years on his last day of work. Yeah. I mean, so, I
And
mean,
he fell? It was a,
And
no, he had a
Baller.
beam. He was a
Okay.
foreman, and I was an apprentice, and a beam was tied up with a piece of 9 wire, and I guess it slipped out. I wasn't there, but it basically landed on him, and he passed away that day.
And now we go back to just what you said, Bill, process and procedure. Somebody didn't check it.
Right.
Somebody was in a hurry.
Right.
And we had to move.
Right.
So
Yeah. I know.
that's just,
I think the is to have that engagement and buy-in for the culture from everybody, and the way things are evolving now. I mean, like throughout all the building trades, like all the trades, from like just tile setters to iron workers to carpenters to electricians, everybody's on board.
right.
And I mean, like I think really is like what we're seeing is a better level of professionalism throughout the trades overall is what I see.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
and I think holding the contractor accountable for having a culture so he can play makes a big difference.
Yes.
Because
I
nowadays
agree.
they know if you're not in it, you're not going to get jobs.
Yep.
It's that simple. I mean, you can always go out in the side somewhere and get a job
Right.
doing something,
Right.
but not in the big leagues.
Right. Exactly.
Well, Bill, thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming in.
I'm glad I
And,
came in.
We will be talking to you more often.
Good.
And probably visiting and learning more things about how cultures really work. So
Okay.
we appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
Hey,
you, Bill.
very good. This is Rick Gleason and Don King from the Heartbeat of Health and Safety. And Don, you got a last words of wisdom for us?
Well, going along with what Bill just told us and taught us about what he does, I would say measure twice, cut once. Now, what does that really mean? Is that really a carpenter's thing? No. If you really think about it, what that means is plan and prepare in a careful, thorough manner before taking action.
There you go.
Ba-boom!
Boy, you hit it right on, Don. Hey, thanks so much for our listeners, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Aloha.
I was young and feisty, never did things by the book. Just let me get my toolbox and I'll take myself a look. I climbed up on the dozer and with my mechanic's pride said, "You can keep it running, friend, while I poke around inside." Shake hands with danger, meet a guy you ought to know. I used to laugh at safety, now they call me Three-Finger Joe. Though I learned a lesson, I forgot it soon enough. The nicks and burns and scratches showed the young ones I was tough. Till another morning, I was grinding on some steel. My other hand got careless and fed my skin into the wheel. Shake hands with danger, step right up and say hello. Grinding wheels and metal, I what made me Three-Finger Joe. I've seen mechanics burning, and I've seen them take a fall just to save themselves a minute. I've seen them lose it all. I've watched them courting trouble, seen them take a chance and lose. They get careless for a moment, spend a lifetime with the blues. Shake hands with danger. Shake hands with danger. Shake hands with danger. used to know. Compared to them, I'm lucky to be just Three-Finger Joe.